when the Vietnam War came. You see, when we started to learn about the Vietnam War, we were ready to view it in a different light than the newspapers and the politicians presented it to us. And we were seasoned veterans. At the end of 1966, beginning of 1967, you started to notice that thousands of young people were flocking to this area to live. They were runaways, running away from home. They let their hair grow long. They wore freaky clothes. And I started to get involved in finding them places to stay for the night and food to eat and things like that. So I was never really a hippie myself. I was twice the age of the average hippie probably, but my hair was long, my clothes were freaky, and I was an organizer of hippies.
Newt's on 2 and there's a rap. Newt's on 2 and there's a rap. And what that means is that we all need to take a bath. That's right, I know French.
We attacked Dean Rusk, who was Secretary of State at the time, maybe 2,000-3,000 of us, and we packaged blood. And we would make tape recorders with the sounds of war, you know, and we would dress as soldiers and everything. And so we used guerrilla theater in many, many different ways. It was almost the whole lifestyle. Our whole lifestyle was guerrilla theater. It's probably the oldest form of political commentary that I could think of before even people could speak. So, but it grew, it was part and parcel of the hippies because the hippies were always acting. They were always there as an alien culture, like Indians among the white men. And it was my job, I thought, to bring them into the anti-war movement, to make them political. We would use the media in a very clever way. We used television. We were born of television, so the generals fighting the war in Vietnam, you see, they want to read in the Wall Street Journal or in Dow or Le Monde and everything, what's going on in the war, you see. But meanwhile, in the United States, the people, especially the young people, are watching what's going on. They are watching. So we understood that. So we will give them something to watch as well. So a lot of they started to identify rock music, marijuana, freaky clothes, long hair, meant being against the war, not registering to fight. If you got in the army, you made a big fight with the generals. It was a stance of resistance. So we developed a culture, a whole culture that was resistant. And that was the way, rather than politically. We didn't bother running candidates to stop the war. We ran rock groups.
Got my chips cashed in, keep trucking.
I ain't got no reason to live it. I can't find no fun.
I've got to win it. I ain't missed the tambourine man play a song for me. I'm not sleeping, we'll be lucky to get out of town. All right.
And we ran marijuana. We ran people like ourselves, you know, to give speeches at which thousands of people would come. We had special radio stations that we would listen to all over the country that would say what was going on. There were underground radio stations, maybe 1,000 of these stations all over the country that would talk just about our news, rather than what's happening on Wall Street, you know, what's happening in Italy, or you know, the news as seen by the power structure. They would talk about our news. We had underground news services. These beings and gatherings were not always met with the delight of the city fathers of New York or San Francisco or Los Angeles. Several times, the police would attack, would beat up people. Hostile groups would gather and throw paint, call names. There were many arrests. The hippies were challenging much of the macho mystique that was practiced by the police. The police felt that it was an affront just for a male to grow his hair long. It was an affront to wear freaky clothes. It was an affront to make love in the open in the park to show signs of affection. It was an affront to be against the war that he believed so much in, or was taught to believe in. So there were these great clashes of sexuality between the hippies and between the well-armed and brutal police.